Welcome to Digital Twin Podcast. Today we will talk about other 6-step of ERP implementation. Stay tuned.
Digital Twin Podcast is a place where technology and business is going hand in hand.
If you are thinking about digitalizing your company, you found the right place.
Podcast is hosted by Adrian Stelmach, consultant who implements IT solutions for manufacturing companies.
And Paul Pachowicz, industrial digitalization expert, who helps global companies to optimize production processes. Yes, I did like the previous episode so much.
Really?
Yeah, because it's now clear, what you should do. I know maybe you can find like similar steps, of how to do it, but I think the secret sauce that you bring in to that implementation, helps to understand the very systematic way of implementing that. And if there are any questions, right, people listening and watching, they can always find us on LinkedIn and ask about any single step that they do not really understand or maybe need help with or stuff like that. So
yeah, we're here for you.
yes. So let's maybe summarize the first 6 steps from the previous episode, and then let's start talking about the rest of the secret sauce implementation plan, successful implementation plan for ERPs. So let's summarize the first 6 steps, and then let's move to the other 6 steps that will finalize the whole process.
Yeah, sure. So in the previous episode, we decided to divide this episode to 2 parts to make it, shorter. So in previous episode, we talked about pretty much 6 steps and something which you should do before them. But those 6 steps are definition of goals and requirements. This is step 1. Choosing the right ERP class, software, and a provider. The third step is planning and budgeting, and choosing the broader context of digital transformation. And we are talking mostly about plan, about digital transformation roadmap, about synchronization between other systems, and also about total cost of ownership, which is very important in this phase. Then we are talking about training, communicating with key users, and change management. Then we are talking about configuration, customization of ERP system, and regarding to obviously the digital transformation roadmap and the part of a system which we are implementing right now. And the 6th step is testing, validating solution under production conditions. And we also talked there about testing environment and about proper way to adjust the potential needs which can appear during the testing phase.
Yep, beautiful. So the last one that we finished the previous episode with was testing and validation. But the seventh point, which is like the completion of implementation, they are like super connected, right? The number 6 and number 7, because when it's finalized, all the configuration, customization already happened, and then we are making sure that the workflows are established, and the users have like dedicated access levels set, for them to interact with the system. But the number 7 would be the completion of implementation, but also data migration, right? And very often this is the most difficult part.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, data migration and like the finishing of the implementation, this phase of implementation, I would say, or this proof of concept or whatever model you choose on the beginning, is very important because I mean, it depends on what company was before that. What do I mean? I mean that because, you know, bigger companies have sometimes migrate their systems to a newer version, to other systems, which, because the ones they are already using doesn't fit their needs anymore. So probably in the new system you want to have the entire history from the previous system. Other situation is like, for example, you used some kind of system like Excel spreadsheet as a system as well, or you have some other software which you had and which they were specifically achieving some goals which you want to now to combine and achieve it with ERP. So that data migration means that you need to, figure somehow how to take this information from those systems, implement it in your system, or your ERP system, or you can just say, okay, I don't want to do that. It's too expensive. I'll just leave those systems somewhere deep on servers. And if I want to have an access to a data which was like 10 years ago, I'll just, run this system again and check it. But there will be no updates and no updated data anymore.
Yes. Okay. So we know that this migrating this data is crucial, and we know we can kind of automate it, but this process is so crucial that automation itself is not gonna do the trick. It has to be the data has to be verified manually as well after we are running this automate migration, because it's just too important, just to trust that this process will work perfectly, with no problems. So since we have that, then the next step would be, to set up a proper support, maintenance for the system that we have just set up, and then this continuous improvement support, continuous support after we have implemented the system. I think this is the crucial part, because it's still like we are still expecting a lot of things not to work properly. Yeah, right. So the continuous support right after we implemented it, it's crucial. Probably we need to have establish it like a proper relationship with the help desk, the online resources, and then how that usually works, Adrian, in real life. This is the most demanding part whenever this is kind of running, but we still haven't found all the problems yet, and then we need we have this company that is maintaining it. They should by this time know what they're dealing with, but very often it's impossible to predict all that and transfer 100% of the knowledge. Most companies will never get will not even get close to that, because they will transfer 80-90%, but not 100%. What happens here? The very first, 72 hours, first week, let's say, post implementation. What is the role of the help desk? What is the role of this continuous support here?
Okay, so we have few topics. First of it's like you have to ask yourself since day one and since the planning phase, first of all, who will be maintaining the system. But that's not only maintaining, but who will be just making some changes in it, and who will be developing like some new stuff which we can appear after a few years. So who will be responsible after the final implementation? It could be the same company as was developing the system from the beginning. It could be your internal team. It could be some hybrid team which fits the process of maintenance as well. It could be someone different regarding to maintenance and administration, and someone different for developing new modules and stuff like that. Those are questions which have to be answered on the beginning of the entire process. But now, as you said, in every kind of implementation, like the knowledge transfer is something which is, I would say, most involving, most challenging, and probably for most of people it's underestimated, because you say, okay, we have great system, right? It works, but only 3 developers or 5 developers know everything about the system, no one else. So are those people will be the ones who will make the maintenance? Even though they will, are you sure you want to just keep those 5 people to do that, not 10? If someone, will go for sick leave, or just change their job or stuff like that, what will going to happen during your system will keep running after that? Like, you have to be bulletproof. You have to make sure that there will be people who will who will be there to help you with the support. So yeah, it's a very important phase, but you have, on this step, you already have to be ready for that. And as I said before in previous steps, since the implementation phase, and obviously, of course, since the testing phase, there have to be maintenance team on board, and they have to keep touch with changes during the development phase.
Sure. So this is I think 2 different elements. The first one is continuous support, but the other one would be the maintenance part, which would be keeping it up to date, running those updates, maybe every couple of hours, just to make sure that it is all running great. So it's just like 2 different levels of support, I would say. And then the next one would be figuring out the areas of collaboration between integrators, providers, and then the internal team, which is like most likely responsible for figuring out what doesn't work, and they may be getting in touch with the supporting company. So there are different parties. How many parties are we talking about? So we're talking about, if we can kind of organize it in a way so it's obvious for people listening and watching. So we have the in-house people, right? Which is usually like a limited amount of people, right? Like maybe a couple of people that they are mostly making sure that the system works. If it doesn't, then they do certain things, communicate with support people or stuff like that. Then we have the provider itself, right? That kind of created this this solution. And then we have the integrator is same as support people, or this is 2 different functions?
Okay, so in general, we have few parties, maybe 5, I would say, in every example. First of all, those are like key stakeholders. So those are people who doesn't work with system that much, but they have expectations, right? So those are people who will probably pay for another modules, for development, for stuff like that. Then we have key users. So people who are actually using the system, they are not IT guys probably, but so they are not developers, but they have they are using the system every single day. It's a key tool for them. Then we should have like a team, like an internal team, which can talk to anyone who makes the support that something's going wrong with the system, right? So not every single person in the company should call the help desk and say, okay, my system doesn't work, because the help desk will be like, there will be no second on the line that will be free, because who is there to judge if it's really problem on the system side or is it problem on any other side. So you have this third party. Then you should divide your maintenance team for 2 layers at least. It's like a first layer if we are talking to in a bigger system. First layer will be layer that people who are the first call people. So if it's something wrong with the system, we call them. They check like the most obvious things, and it could be internal team, or internal person, or someone on the first shift and stuff like that. And those are people who check, okay, this is really something wrong with the system. It's not like automation part. It's not like human error. It's really something wrong with the system. And then we have a final support, and those guys call the final support to say, okay, we need your help. There's this and this area. There's something wrong. You should do that. So you should define like those roles, those 5 roles, since day one again. But this is this is the time when it really kicks off.
Right. Yeah. So since the system is up and running, and then we know that there are different parties involved, and we know who's responsible for what kind of like emergencies. We know how to communicate. We're not expecting the supporting company to answer a phone call from us every 5 minutes. So now we know it's all set up. Now we know it all works, and it's managed through like 5 different parties, but it's under control. So now I think it would be the time to talk about the step number 10, which would be figuring out the effectiveness of the system. Maybe thinking of the ROI. Because we did invest a lot of money usually for that, and now we're trying to figure it out. What's the return on this on this investment? And then maybe that will be also the time to set goals, or maybe verify the goals that we have set before the implementation, and now we are expecting to validate those, right?
Yeah.
So this would be the time that we are running an assessment. I know it's a big word, right? I don't think we should be doing that in the first couple of weeks, but in general we should start figuring out through assessment if the ERP was if the implementation of the ERP system was successful. So that's why we're looking at the effectiveness of it. We're looking at the ROI. We're looking at the goals that we have set up, and now the evaluation process begins. Right? Can you run us through this phase, please?
Yeah, sure. So you should set up some ROIs and expectations regarding the effectiveness on the beginning, on the planning phase, right? But now it's a good time to actually check how much you were wrong since the beginning, right? I mean, how did you met your goals? Because you had expectations, but did you have an experience to setting up those expectations? Did you really discuss with some consulting for someone to consult that? We don't know now, but we can compare our expectation, goals, objectives, and requirements since the system is already running, or since the modules which should running are running. There's a lot of things going on. First of all, you can check if the system actually works regarding to the infrastructure, or the speed, or the the maintenance, the development, the knowledge transfer. There's a lot of things which you have to check after the system is running. And this is a good time to do that, especially if you are keeping up with those points or this plan in like first time, because like if you will be rolling out this like the second module or the second phase or the second plant or whatever is in your plan, you will keep those steps in the same way, in the same order. So you can adjust and you can evaluate, you can find these bottlenecks when you are keep running the second in the second row. You will adjust, and you will know for sure where are those places which are problematic.
Yes. Um, so we are looking at the success of this implementation, and from your experience, does it happen a lot that because you said something that was kind of funny, that we are looking of how much we planned but it didn't work. So
Yeah.
this is usually the case, right? That we set some goals and expectations, but we are not able to hit them, the first couple of weeks after the implementation. Is that usually the case?
It could be the case, or it could be like we want to solve too many problems since day one, or we expect that everyone will work with the system in 100%, right? And it's impossible, because some people will learn for a longer period. Some of them will use the system properly since day one. Some of them will forget and stuff like that. So it's impossible. That's why those phase of ROIs and keeping up with how the system could evaluate is very important, because you can adjust your plan as well.
Mm. Yeah, right. So since we have the evaluation done, what comes with evaluation is knowledge, and that knowledge we should use for further improvement of that solution. So we can call it like lessons learned. So we have implemented it, we know it's running, we are looking at the ROI effectiveness, and then we're seeing that maybe not all the expectations are met yet, but this is like implementing an ERP, or I mean, it's just a process. It's not something that will have an end. If your company grows, your ERP will need a lot of maintenance as well. So we are looking at the challenges that we were facing during the implementation part of the process. How would you draw conclusions based on the lessons learned? Like what's there for you? Who should learn from it? Would that be the integration partner? Would that be the in-house people? Would that be the company that provides support? I'm guessing all of them should learn from it, but this is kind of broad, like lessons learned. Let's just improve whatever we didn't know before. How would you organize this information?
Lesson learned process is a part of every of my consulting or implementation phase. It's very important, and I saw that not a lot of people does that because they think, okay, we can figure it out everything by ourselves, or we have a ticket system for maintenance where we can just read what people write there. And I think a lesson learned is a step where you have to meet in the room all of the key people which use the system. I mean, the stakeholders, the key users, the maintenance, the developers. All of those people can meet in one room. You can open the whiteboard and just start writing and describing some things which were wrong on both sides, right? Because you have like two sides. Let's say you have a customer and you have a integrator, or development team, maintenance team, who are creating the system. Probably both of those parties do something wrong. Probably both of those parties can involve and learn. And if people will not talk to each other like face to face, it's impossible to adjust really fast. Because if we are talking face to face, we're showing our real emotions and real expectations. Because for developers, probably there are some places which are crucial and they can focus on them, but for the people who are using the system, or who are the key stakeholders, probably or maybe it doesn't have to be the same things, right?
Yes. So so we are collecting, we're learning from, from what went wrong, but also from what we were able to achieve. And I think that would be the very last step of your secret process, right? Which is figuring out the standards for the future, which we have done all this work, and we have learned from the implementation and maintenance, and learn from all the mistakes that we have made on the way. The rational thing to do would be to plan our future actions based on everything that we have learned so far, which very often is not a standard, right? Because what we have learned, this should probably become a standard, right? Because we spend all the money, all the time, made all the mistakes just to figure some kind of process out, right? For how we should be running the system for our organization. So this is the time to create a list of all the requirements and standards for the future development of this IT system, or maybe implementing other IT systems, right?
Yeah. I mean, those phases of future requirements and standards, what does it mean? It means that, because if you think that the entire ERP implementation process, it's not only about ERP, it's also changing how the people really work. The goal is that people work more effective. They'll spend less time on things which are, repetitive. And there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of, standards, a lot of things which you can use in the future like for hiring new people, for rolling out for a different, businesses, areas, plans, offices and stuff like that, right? And so to make a short answer, this is like a place where you can make sure that if anyone else in your company will do some things which you already done in this entire 11 steps before, and it works, people should know what works and how to use it to work again in the future. And it's not regarding only for ERPs, as I said. It could be related with some kind of way to report things, some hardware, some connections, some processes, the way people communicate. Like there's a lot of things which can be developed in meanwhile. And also it's very important that because during this kind of processes, there's like tons of documentation, which is being developed, and it's very good that it is. But think about who will read all of those things, right? Maybe they have to be some videos with a summary of training how to use the system. Maybe they have to be like five pages of documentation of summary how to use actually documentation and have to find relevant information. So think about that regarding to data transfer and regarding to standards.
Yes, absolutely. So the one thing to remember, so this is requirements and standards for the future implementations, but also requirements and standards for continuous improvement, because ERP is just a living organism. It's gonna keep
That's
evolving,
true.
keep changing. So other implementations are important, but also the continuous improvement of the ERP is something that you should plan for. You should not wait and then figure it out. You should plan for it. So I think this is all the 12 steps. Unbelievable. Now your secret, Adrian, is not a secret anymore, because you share that with people that are actually trying to run this process properly and are trying to avoid mistakes. Some people are not gonna do that, but that's fine. We are here for the people that are trying to prevent those bad things to happen. when they're making that crucial decision for the organization. So, as a summary, I would say that the ERP is a crucial element of the modern business, right? And it aims to streamline operations and enhance efficiency. This is like the summary, you know. Like we talked so much about this that I think going into the details in this summary is not necessarily, but just knowing that your competitive edge is the data, is actually real-time access to the data and making rational decisions, and you can get that information out of the ERP system, even if you're not a huge company, and especially if you're not a huge company, because the medium-sized or small-sized companies, they are competing against other small-sized companies, and they thinking, the ERP, maybe this is not something that we should invest in, you know, because we're still a small company. But just imagine that if you do invest in an ERP system, and 99% of the companies your size won't, you are the winner if you do that. So that's just my summary. Anything to add here, Adrian?
Yeah, I'm just briefly, I would say that don't forget, don't skip any step. You have to remember about assessment, building a transformation plan, choosing the right tool, making a proof of concept, lesson learned and agile, rollout, maintenance, and standardizing. Meanwhile, this is like less steps from those 12 we talked about, but in every kind of ERP implementation, all of those steps are relevant. And if you do it in the right correction, and if you don't speed up too much, you'll be happy with your ERP for sure.
That's a promise made by Adrian. No, but also, if you have any doubts, please get in touch. So you are actually satisfied with the outcome. So thank you very much. That was 2 episodes in a row that kind of describe the roadmap of, you know, how not to be disappointed with the implementation of your ERP system. So stay tuned, because we have some more good stuff coming. So thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.